Holy cow, it's the meat event. It's the Snake versus the Sandman. It's Cory Sandhagen taking on TJ Dillashaw. This one should be absolute fireworks. Cory Sandhagen, 14 and 2. Last time we saw him was in February of this year when he just brutalized Frankie Edgar, ripped to the legend with that flying knee, perfectly timed, and shut Frankie's lights off just immediately. And before that, he picked up a beautiful wheel kick win over Marlon Moraes. And he did lose to Aljo in a quick somewhat kind of confusing bout before that, but apart from that blemish to Aljo, Sandhagen has really looked untouchable at 135. I'm glad to see him finally getting his due. I feel like he's definitely a main event fighter, and so it's good to see him get this opportunity. And not only is the UFC seeing a lot in Sandhagen, but the odds makers are as well, because he's a minus 175 favorite against TJ Dillashaw, which is pretty fascinating because TJ Dillashaw isn't a guy who arrives on fight night as an underdog very often. So this is a different story. Obviously, TJ's been out for a little while, coming off that PED suspension. He's off the juice. He's on the clean juice, but going to be interesting to see how he rebounds against such a tough, active guy like Cory Sandhagen, because we know when TJ exited the promotion due to suspension, he was at the top of his game apart from that loss to Cejudo. So we'll see if he is that same man when he returns this Saturday night. So he's a plus 145 dog again to Sandhagen's minus 175. It's an absolute banger meet. Who are you going with? TJ Dillashaw, the Snake, or you got the Sandman?
Yeah, this one's tough. Super torn on it. And yeah, this is such a hard one to pick because Sanahan's been looking just so well with that one little hiccup loss which was kind of a one-sided mauling by Sterling, which was very surprising because you got Peter Yan one side mauling him, but somehow Sterling still got the belt. But beside the point, Sanahan's looking better than ever. TJ, we don't know. It's a what if factor. He could be the TJ that absolutely starched Cody Garbrandt twice in a row, or it could be the TJ that got starched by Triple C while he was on the Peds. I think I gotta go with TJ on this one. I'm with Chael Sonnen. I'm right. I don't believe in curses and all that, and people say this is the Chael curse, but I think he's gonna get it done. I'm a little scared because I don't like how small TJ is to Corey. When you see that size of 5'11", 5'6", that's definitely I'm a I just don't like that, but I think he's smart enough. He's very tactical and he'll know how to get in and out. They're ex-training partners, so he's somewhat familiar with them. And I think if he sticks with the heavy wrestling, I think he's got a good chance. If he tries to stand and bang, I mean, yes, their reach is only a few inches, but it's 2 inches apart, but which isn't that big a difference. I mean, it is a little, but it's not the worst case scenario. But he's still got those legs, which the legs are gonna be huge, and Corey has beautiful kicks. So as long as TJ cannot get caught by a flying knee or a little roundhouse kick like Marlon Moraes, I think TJ should have this as a wrap. I do like this also because I have a good amount of TJ cards, but the odds. It just seems almost disrespectful to put the ex champ at this. Or maybe I'm sleeping on Corey, and Corey has ascended, and there's no way anyone's beating him in the division. I'm very excited to see this fight. It's true pick 'em for me. I'm going to stay away from this personally for betting, but as a fan, I'm very excited. Probably one of the coolest matchup fights, and I'm going to go with the Snake in this one.
Yeah, good stuff. And you mentioned that you're staying away from it. I am too. This is just one of those fights where it seems like so many unknowns, right? Like, what is TJ going to look like in this return? And if he does return looking even like a fraction of what he did previously, then he's going to be in good shape because he was one of the best in the world and perhaps still is. But Roy Sandhagen also might be one of the best in the world as well. So this one is absolutely fascinating. It's truly a fireworks display for this meat event. And you touched on the wrestling of TJ Dillashaw. I mean, we've heard Cory Sandhagen openly say, my wrestling game is not that great. So do you think that TJ, who is a guy who never shies away from a fist fight, he's always coming to stand and bang. Do you think he's going to try and maybe set aside the stand up for a considerable amount of this fight and try to implement a more wrestling ground game attack versus Cory Sandhagen? Because on the feed, I could see this thing being very close, but on the mat, Dillashaw will likely have a significant advantage with his wrestling base and just his MMA wrestling transitions. He's got one of just the smoothest MMA wrestling games around. So do you think that's TJ's best pathway is getting this thing to the mat?
I truly think it is. And I mean, it's like what anyone says that talks about TJ in training, like he's a ruthless dude. He's a tough guy, and he shows no mercy, and he's the hardest working guy in that gym. So I think he's working on his striking, his distancing, his setups, and I think he's gonna have advantage really everywhere. It wouldn't surprise me if Corey has that stand-up advantage just because that reach. But if he doesn't space it right, I could even see TJ having the stand-up advantage. But I hope TJ's smart enough to where if he knows he's getting, if he's losing on the feet, he's gonna go pure wrestling and put on a heavy pace. But the one thing that does worry me, if that does happen, his ego gets involved and he says he loves to bang, bro. So I don't know. This is just such a tough one, an absolute slobber knocker for these bantamweights. So very excited to see. But yeah, I think he's gonna go to his wrestling if last resort or if needed.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you in that regard. I think TJ is going to be trying to wrestle this one a lot, and I think we're going to know pretty early on if the Sandman can, stuff some of those takedowns and really create that separation with that stiff jab of his. Then I think we're going to know who's going to win this contest fairly early. So ultimately, 80% is rolling with the Sandman, 20% is going with TJ Dillashaw, which is I thought kind of a shocking discrepancy. I thought that Sandhagen might get a little less. I thought it'd be closer to 60-40, but it's 80-20. The community is pretty bullish on Cory Sandhagen, and ultimately, and again, not with supreme confidence, I'm going to be rolling with Tapology. I'm going to go Cory Sandhagen in this one. I think he's going to find a way to win a decision or maybe even pull off a late finish. But again, it's one that I'm going to stay away from personally because TJ Dillashaw is a guy who, like you said, he's just a mean guy. He's a true competitor. And I'm just excited for him to make his return because not only does he bring the absolute fireworks within the cage, he's got one of the best walkout entrances in the UFC. So it's always fun when Red Hot Chili Peppers is blaring down. TJ's getting hype. He's gonna start getting loud with Bruce in the octagon, and it's just fireworks nonetheless after that. So cannot wait for this one. I'm gonna go with the Sandman. You got the Snake. Any last thoughts on this meat event?
No, super excited. Yeah, I gotta stick with the Dillashaw. I agree with all your points, but last time I went with Hooker versus Chandler, and we saw how that ended up. So you can't count the little man out, and usually I do, but for this one you really can't. Pure pick 'em though, super fun fight. Throw in the comments who you guys want. You guys got the snake in the grass winning, or you got the Sandman? We respond to all comments. Make sure to subscribe. Check out the Meat Lock and all the other breakdowns in our videos.